Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Alex's Afternoon Art Show. Today we are going to be drawing Storm, and we're going to be doing lots of lighting, because we're dealing with lightning again. It's kind of like the Shredder one we did last year at this point now. So yeah, it'll be a little bit like that, not dealing with as intense a lighting scenario though. I think I'm probably going to try and, well, we're going to be dealing with intense enough lighting, so we'll see what happens. Largely here, the pose is reasonably simple. Time-wise, I don't think this should take a huge... this should be as long as some of the ones we've done in the past. Realistically speaking, this should be moderately quick as things go. So, I mean, we'll see, I guess. Largely, my expectation is that this shouldn't be too bad. Because we're dealing with... we're dealing with 90s Storm, so that's a simple enough costume. All the one color, pretty much. There's 2 or 3 areas where I'm going to have to apply a little bit more detailing than I might otherwise, but, largely it's pretty simple. So, we'll see what happens, and, yeah, may as well begin. So I'll roll the intro, and then I'll be back to show you what I've got. See ya. So yeah, this is what I've got. I've got a pretty basic pose, all things considered. Now you can see here I obviously drew the hair before I drew the shoulder pads, so I'm just going to be having the shoulder pads in front. I need to add the earrings, which I forgot to do, but those will take very little time to add. So I'll do that during this, obviously. I'll add in the earrings. Now there's a few things which are different than the last time I drew Storm, because Storm was one of those characters, as I said last time with Chun-Li. Storm was one of those characters who I did in the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 mural, but I was actually quite happy with Storm. I just kind of wanted to draw Storm again. So, yeah, Storm was one of those characters who I have drawn semi-recently, as things go, but I've made some changes. So, for example, we're doing a few things a little differently here. So, in a lot of the different versions of the 90s costume, the kind of silvery outfit, the silvery white outfit, she has these kind of big puffy sleeves which end at the forearm, and then she's got loose gloves which go on over everything. But we're not doing that here. She's not wearing gloves. She's just got these little, going to be golden little bands around the wrist which connect the cape. And it's the same deal with the shoulder pads. The shoulder pads are mostly the same. I've also swapped where the line is because I actually put it in the wrong place last time. Funnily enough, I did put it in the wrong place. I put it over this side last time when it should be on the left side. Yeah, well, her right side. There's also this little line here, which I suppose creates the kind of bodysuit shape, but that's actually not. It doesn't actually separate into anything. It's still just the one piece, but it's just got these lines to separate, I suppose. I haven't applied any detailing to the cape. I'll obviously do that later. I will apply detailing, but just it's not necessary to necessarily do it during the base sketch. It's not super important to do it then. But of course, the thing with Storm that is always the most time-consuming is her hair, because she's got gigantic hair. And yeah, that is a time-consuming part of the process. So that'll probably be where most of my time will go in doing this drawing. Now, as I said before, we're dealing with lighting and lightning, so a lot of that stuff isn't going to necessarily come across in this part of everything. That'll be something which I'll do during the colors section. So one of the things that I will do is I will be doing... so one of the things which I wanted to do last time, which I never did, was, well, because I didn't do much I didn't do lightning during that, because it was just a pose, because I didn't want to distract too much from the rest of what was going on, because it was a smaller part of a larger piece. So I didn't want to put too much focus on it, on any one character in particular. So here, however, because we're only dealing with one character, I can do a lot more. So there's going to be lightning coming out of the eyes. I'll do that, like little streaks of lightning coming out of the eyes a little bit. And then same around the hands, there'll be little crackling little bits of lightning coming off the fingertips. And then there'll obviously be background lightning strikes, which will apply a harsh light line around the edge. I was debating moving her over a little bit more to the left, because that way, because this area of the screen I don't think I'm actually going to be applying like a big lightning strike to. I think I'm mostly just going to have the big giant lightning strike in the background, and that's going to be it. I'm not going to quite do the same thing I did with Shredder, where it's basically like tons of little strikes of lightning in the background. Not going to do that. I'm going to do the one big one and then have little bits crackling off of it. Maybe another one back here, but it'll all be going in the same shape, mostly. But yeah. So, I don't want to dawdle too long. We've already been going for a few minutes, and realistically speaking, I don't think this is necessarily going to be a very difficult one. It's not going to be a very complicated one, so I don't really feel the need to drag too long before I start getting into things. So, realistically speaking, what are the difficult things I'm going to do? Well, I'm going to need to fill in these the little buttons here. Those are going to need to actually get filled in because I just did the X shaped here just to make my life a little easier. The base sketch, again, speed things up in that part because, again, there's no need to be too detailed in the base sketch. So yeah, big lightning strike, mostly black, not pure black, background, probably like a very, very dark blue is what I'll go for. But our lighting here, I have to wonder, is our lighting going to be yellow or is it going to be blue? Because realistically speaking, a lot of Storm's lightning strikes are actually yellow. I think I'm going to go with blue, even though blue is very similar to what we were doing last time with Chun-Li. I think I'm going to go with blue. Yeah. I think that's probably what I'm going to go for. Which means I'm going to be having the lightest parts, like just the base lighting parts are going to be on this side. The lighter parts are going to be here. The darkest edges are going to be here, where the light line will be, because that will be where the lightning's striking here. Is behind her. The lightning will be striking there. And then we'll have the light line going along this edge of her, which is where the darkest part of the lighting is going to be. Then the lightest part is going to be over here. More soft lighting here. Which would be maybe somewhat bluey. Something like that. Something, hell, maybe even I might make it slightly yellowy. Something. I don't know, I'll think of something. But so far, that's kind of the idea I'm going for. You kind of get the picture. But yeah, I don't think I need to go over it. I don't think I need to go over anything else. So I'll begin. We'll do these details and then we'll be back to do the colours. So yeah. Okay, so that is our details done. Took a little longer than I would have expected. Still only just 2 hours though, so that's a little shorter than some of the longer ones tend to be. So I think we're looking at 4 hours here as recordings go. Meaning we still got another good chunk of this left, because next up we got the colors, and during this section I was thinking about doing the lightning during this section, but I don't actually think I will. I might do maybe the little bits of lightning on her, like the eyes and the hands. I might do a little bit of that, but then the background stuff I'll maybe leave to the end, because that'd be a little bit more, well, it'll still be quick, but it'll require a little bit more effects, where the lightning here, like the little trail of lightning that I want to have off her eye, and the little sparks around her hands, that probably won't take very long, and it'll be pretty minor on the effects. I might not even give it the kind of blur that I might normally give. Funny story, Strom was a character who I intended to do a very long time ago with, if you have seen these older videos, you might remember, this was before the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 mural. I did a rogue drawing, like Gambit drawing, and they had these kind of brightly coloured silhouettes around them, which I liked. And there were these full body shots, that was the whole idea, and I was going to do, I believe, Cyclops, Storm, and Wolverine as well, after having done Rogue and Gambit, but I chose not to because I felt like it wasn't even that I chose not to, it was a case of where I thought to myself, oh, I'll leave that stuff on my list, but I'll do the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 mural, which that came immediately after Gambit. Well, I say immediately, if I remember correctly, there was like a bit of a break that I took at the time. But yeah, that was a that was at the time whenever I'd intended on doing a few more of the X-Men characters, but I never got around to it. Well, technically I did, because I did all of those characters in the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 mural. So I mean, realistically speaking, I did eventually do it, but you know, not necessarily as part of those. So yeah. Anyways, I need to do these colors. And I think, again, a lot of this section should be quick, because really there aren't many colors going on here. Like, I could probably count them all on one hand. Now, a thing which I see a lot is that Storm gets like quite brightly colored lipstick, which, because I'm going to be giving her a lipstick, because I always do, I'm probably going to make it a little darker. I'll probably make it more in tone with the red of the buttons. I'll probably do something more like that, so it doesn't seem as jarring, color-wise. Because I feel like one of the brightly colored ones kind of stands out a little too much. Like, for example, in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 mural, she had pink lipstick, which I feel like kind of clashes, but that's how she's... that's the color in the game. In the game's art. So, I figured, I'll stick with that, but yeah, I'm not too keen on it, all in all. So I'll probably give her something a little darker. Not super dark, it'll probably still be a little lighter, but something more in tone with the, more in keeping with the buttons colors, so that's not too, off piece, I suppose you'd say. But yes, I will do these colors, and then I'll be back to begin the shading phase of things, because we do our 4 phases: details, colors, painted shading, and detailed shading. So, yeah, I'll do these colors, and I'll be back to do the painted shading. But I'll probably do my background color here during this section, and I'll do some of the kind of, I suppose, foreground lightning, which would be on the face and hands. Would be really the only place where that'd be. So yeah, anyways, I'll do this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's our colours done. That took a little longer than I would have liked, because it was just a lot of surface area to deal with. But yeah, I don't really have much to go over here. I just quickly did those little bits of lightning around the eyes and the hands. So I did a few little bits just poking off the fingers, a few little bits poking off the eyes. I had to add the outer glow because otherwise it'd be kind of invisible here. Here especially, it'd be basically invisible. And then around the hands as well, it's kind of necessary to have. So something which I'm thinking just now basically is that I'm going to add a little bit of a kind of a smoky trail that kind of follows the motion a little bit in the background, just so that it looks like kind of wind kicking up, because, you know, Strom isn't just lightning, so, and her powers aren't just lightning, so I'll have something just in the background, like a little smoke trail, which is a little lighter, just to have it kind of push up a little bit of motion here into this, so that we get a little bit more something going on. I'll do that during this section, I'll do that after I've done the painted shading. So the way they're doing this is the dark side is over here, light side is over here, and so I'm going to be using probably a bluey purple for a lot of the dark parts, and then I might do what I did last time, of where I'll probably skew a lot of the lighter stuff yellow, even though our gradient map is probably going to be quite blue. What I might do is I might have the lightest color actually be yellow in the gradient maps, so that it doesn't mute all of these, all the yellow in the design, and most likely the kind of slight yellow tinge I'm going to use in the shading, just so that she stands out a little bit more from the background. We'll see how that works. I might adjust it. We will see, I suppose, because that'll be the type of thing which I'll have to tinker with in the gradient maps at the end. But anyways, I'll do these this painted shading and a little bit of the background, then I'll continue onto the detailed shading, which I will return briefly to introduce. So yeah. Alright, that is our painted shading done, and of course the little bits of mist as part of it. So I still got to do the big background lightning strike, which I'll do during this section, because now we're doing the detailed shading, which also happens to include the light line. So I will do this, and then that'll be basically us. This section shouldn't really be that long, all in all. Probably won't take very long, I would say, for the hazard a guess. I do have to try and think now, I have to try and place this lightning in such a position where it's not going to conflict with the existing lightning. So we'll see how I'm going to manage that. I'm probably going to use the gradient maps to artificially make this a lot darker. So I'll probably end up going with a little bit of a darker gradient map, and we'll see how that works for us. So as a result of that, I'm probably, for the outer glow on this lightning, I'm probably going to use a kind of a deep blue, for the reason that whenever it comes to the gradient map, because I'm going to be using yellow as our brightest color, that is going to end up skewing it probably a little bit green, and so I want it to be more blue so that it doesn't skew it to be just green, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I'll do this section, and then I'll be back to do the gradient maps and all our final touches, and then yeah, wrap up. So yeah, anyways. Okay, so that is all our detailed shading, light line, and background done. So, as you can see, I tried to kind of collect all the lightning at the one side. I had to go through about 6 different brush sizes in order to try and get what I wanted. So it all kind of spokes out from mostly the one point and then just sheer kind of covers this whole kind of part of the sky, being the idea. So that it's all kind of following the motion. So, say for example, she lifts this arm, that brings all the mist up this way, and then fires down the lightning in that same direction, just straight down like that, and then it all spokes up and sheer covers the sky. So that kind of idea. Now, something which I did forget to do, as I realized, is I need to put the blur on it so that it kind of looks a little bit better, because as you can see, there's maybe too hard an edge on some of this stuff. So I'll do that now, before I do my gradient maps, so I'll need to probably blur this a little bit more. So now I'll do the gradient maps because I have been screwing around here a little too long, and that took like 5 minutes of just extra stuff there. So our darkest color we're going to want to be a very dark, kind of slightly purpley blue. Maybe slightly more blue than that. Slightly more blue than that. Now our lightest color to be somewhat yellowy. Something like this. Now this is going to be an interesting color palette to do. I think I'm going to need to make this a lot more... I'm going to need to actually make this more subtle. I need to make this, I think, 5 points. It's the only way I'm getting this to work properly. Where this point needs to be a little darker, because this is supposed to be a darker gradient map. Right now we're going to need another one, which should be pretty much like there. That should be pretty low. Probably about here even, maybe. So this is practically on the floor, which means this needs to be maybe more bluey purple, and then somewhere like there. This one probably needs to be a little darker as well. A little less red, a little more purple. And then this one is obviously an orangey red. Make it a little darker. So that we're dealing with a pretty dark color palette here, but our lighter parts should sort of remain. So now let's have a look and see how that's going to look. Well, yeah. It kind of works, I suppose. I don't know why this has become so purple. Realistically speaking, I would have assumed that it would become somewhat green. Unusual. Right, let's roll with it. I think it's working more or less for what I wanted. Let's turn this down to 60%. Make duplicate layer, and then make luminosity. Make this 20%. I feel like this actually isn't as dark as I want it to be. This one should be color burn. I'll turn this one down to 5%. Let's turn this up to 70%. Or even 80% I think is more what I want. 80%, turn this one up to like 30%. 10%. We want it to be dark. I mean, that's the thing, we want it to be dark. We're losing the smoke a little bit, the mist a little bit, but... I mean, at least we have the lightning in the background, which can... you know what, I'll turn down the color burn. The color burn, I think, is what's doing that. What's going on here? Yeah, maybe it's the luminosity. 25%, yeah. Some of the smoke has come back a little bit now. 75%, right, that should do. Okay. We want it to be dark. We want it. We don't want it to just completely destroy all our colors. So again, our lighting here is moderately soft as things go. Especially on, on Strom herself, the lighting's reasonably soft. Definitely softer than I would maybe have gone for. Yeah, maybe softer than I probably would have gone for had I gone in with more of a specific vision in mind, because I was kind of winging this one, to be honest with you. I didn't necessarily have a particular idea of how I wanted this one to look. Whenever I created the base sketch, I didn't kind of necessarily think of what I was going to be doing. But here, let's throw on our texture, and let's see. Again, I'm probably going to have this be not super crazy, because I don't want it to be too distracting. Let's 30% look. Right, let's look at the sky. That's where we're going to see it. We're going to see it on stuff like the smoke, like there. And it'll help disperse our lightning a little bit better. Yeah, it doesn't lighten it up too much. These dark areas still remain dark, and the smoke is maybe a touch more visible than it was before, so that's better, I suppose. But yeah, so that's done. So yeah, that one took a little longer than I would have necessarily expected. Well, only just turned 4 hours, so I mean, basically it's exactly as long as the last one was. But I think in terms of the actual video length, this one might end up being longer, if only because of this last section has taken a while, mostly because of all the tinkering with the lightning. But yeah, well, no, it seems like it's come out mostly all right. I'm pretty happy with it all in all. That lightning is very purple, but I mean, that is kind of the gradient map we've gone for. But I feel like a lot of the motion is still sold. Maybe I would have put like a little bit of smoke along the bottom or something that covers the bottom of her a little bit more. But I suppose you can maybe assume that that's there because of the smoke. The smoke kind of is quite low in the frame anyway, so maybe you can assume maybe the bottom of her legs is covered by the smoke, something like that. I don't know. Some sort of thought, probably. You can maybe assume something like that, but I don't know. Anyways, I don't think I want to talk your ear off. So, now that I think about it, this cape should probably be a little bit more like here. But I'm not fixing it now. It should probably be like there, because it's supposed to come out of the shoulder pads, I think. Anyways, I think it's fine. Actually, yeah, it's probably fine. You can just say that there's wind or something. Yeah, no, there probably would be wind, actually, because it'd be... because everything's being pulled up that way. No, because everything's being pulled up that way, the wind would be pushing this more. Not unless the wind was, like, catching underneath it, in which case it'd be kind of... the bottom would be flapping up like this, and then the rest would be kind of maybe tucking in or something like that, or crumpling. I don't know exactly. I don't necessarily understand wind direction fully. It's not my... well, I sort of understand wind, but I mean, I don't understand necessarily all the mechanics of it, so there are times whenever you're not going to be able to fully capture that essence, I suppose. Anyways, I've been rambling for like 10 minutes towards the end of this, so yeah, I will wrap up. We'll do the outro, then I'll leave you. So yeah, if you like the video, do whatever it is that you normally do, whether that be liking or not. I would of course prefer if you liked it, but if you would prefer not to do that, that's fine. I can't make you do it. So again, whatever you would like to do, I'm happy with that, so long as it's not negative. Same deal, if you want to subscribe, go for it. If you would prefer not to, that's fine. So long as you watch the video. I mean, if you've watched this far, you've watched more than most. But I don't need to tell you where the subscribe button is. You've presumably seen a YouTube video before, so you know where it is. And yeah, if you choose to watch the next video, I'll see you next time. So with all that said, that is us. I'll say goodbye, and I will leave you. So, bye-bye.